What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and today I've got a story time for y'all that was sent in to me about the time this kid's dad tried to fight this subscriber. I would just really recommend not trying to fight kids. If you're an adult, it probably doesn't end well for you, but before we get into it, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam, your dad's gonna try to fight you, and trust me, you don't want that. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Nice rack and her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million.
Alright, like I said, this was sent in to me by a subscriber, and it starts with this subscriber simply hanging out at a friend's house, as you do. You know, every now and then someone invites you over, you go over, play some video games, hang out, all that good stuff. And the first little bit he's hanging out with this dude, everything's going pretty normally, you know, they're playing video games, he's showing him around his house, they played pool for a bit. All in all, everything's going normally. And out of nowhere, this kid just starts demanding that they go in the backyard and play Beyblades right now. And I love Beyblades, don't get it twisted, but the subscriber just didn't really feel like playing Beyblades in that particular moment. So he's like, maybe not right now, but this kid is insistent. He's like, no, we have to play. It's my favorite game. If you don't play Beyblades with me, I'm never, ever going to invite you over again. Like, seriously, you have to play with me. And so the subscriber is a little bit confused. Obviously, he doesn't really want to play, but like, you know, if his option is lose his friend or play Beyblades, then, you know, you're going to pick the better option. So whatever, they go out there, and of course, the kid whose house it is picks the best Beyblade that he has. He's like, all right, this one's awesome, it wins every time, and you're gonna use this one. And this particular subscriber didn't know too much about Beyblades, like he didn't, oh my gosh, I can't say that word, Beyblades, jeez. He didn't know too much about it, right? So he was like not an expert at it, so the one he gave him he didn't know was gonna be garbage, but it was like absolutely garbage. And he basically just gets destroyed. He doesn't really know how to play, what's going on, but the entire time he's just getting shredded by the kid whose house he's at, and he's like not being nice about it. You know, if you destroy somebody when they're new at something, it's probably good to be like, nah, it's all right, you'll get the hang of it. But every time he wins, he's like, oh, you're stupid, bro. Oh my god, look at how trash you are. Look at how trash you are. Keep in mind, he didn't tell him how to play, he just gave him a crappy one he made and told him he had to use it. So after a couple rounds of watching, the subscriber kind of understands how the game works and like has an idea of how he would make one that would be good. So he asked the kid, he's like, hey, do you mind if I build one with your leftover parts and then we can keep playing? And you know, he's like, yeah, sure, whatever, I don't really care, all the parts are over there, feel free. Are you sure you don't want to keep using this one? And it had been getting slaughtered, dude. So he's like, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure. And so he goes over and starts building one, and he's like, I don't know why you're wasting your time building one. It doesn't matter. Even if you tried to put something together from all those parts, there's no way it's going to be as good as mine. And, you know, listen, I'm not saying I'm a Beyblade genius here, but from what it was described, this kid's Beyblade really wasn't that impressive. Like, the only reason it was destroying is because he had basically made one that was incredibly, like, you know, easy to knock over and sucked, and then anything could beat it. So the subscriber kind of takes the lessons he learned from his first couple of games, and he builds one, and he puts it together, and it looks pretty different, and he shows it to the kid, and he's like, yeah, okay, whatever, you can use that. There's no way that's gonna work. Nothing has ever beaten my Beyblade, dude. In fact, I'm so confident that, like, if you beat me, you can have my Beyblade. Like, that's how confident he was. And so, whatever, they go up and, you know, gotta let it rip, the Beyblade motto. But when they let it rip, instead of him just crushing his house guest, you know, just absolutely crapping on him after he built this new Beyblade, he's shocked because he loses. Yeah, that's right. It's almost like yours wasn't that good. Anyone can beat something that's purposely made to be absolute garbage, right? So he screams, you know, this isn't fair. We have to play again. I didn't realize that you were going to go like 1 second before me. That's why I lost. It's not because yours is better, you know, so don't get cocky, but we have to play again. And so they play again and again and again, and every time after he loses, he's like, oh no, and comes up with some random excuse for why he didn't win. And that's the absolute worst, bro. If you've ever tried to like be in a competition or, you know, hang out with somebody that always has to like one up you or come up with an excuse for why they're not wrong when you're playing video games or something, it's just annoying. So finally, after the 5th time he loses, he's like, you have to be cheating. That's what happened. When you made that, you did something to my Beyblade that made it suck, you know, so I don't feel like this is legitimate results. And the subscriber is really confused because, you know, he had never really played before. He doesn't know how to cheat. And on top of that, he had literally watched him build it. Like, it's not like a situation situation where he went outside, glued it together, added weights to it, whatever you would do, and then came back inside. Like, this dude literally watched his friend build it, and he's just losing. And so he kind of keeps tearing into him, being like, no, there's no way that's legit. I have a feeling that you cheated, or like you somehow messed with mine and sabotaged mine. And it's starting to get really annoying for the subscriber, right? Because he didn't even lose. Like, he's like, dude, I'm just beating you. You were talking all this trash when you were winning. You're just like losing. And so he says to him, he's like, hey man, did you ever just pause and consider the fact that maybe your Beyblade is just not as good as you think it is? And you would have thought that he just told this dude that his mom is like the biggest, promiscuous lady of all time. You would have thought he slapped his grandma. You would have thought he just said that his gene pool was so incestuous it's a straight line up and down on the family tree, because he just attacks him for daring to say that his Beyblade might not be that good, dude. If you're gonna attack somebody, they better say some pretty messed up stuff to you. You shouldn't start attacking your friend over Beyblades. But whatever, they're fighting now, just kind of like wrestling on the ground, punching each other. It's not a very intense fight, mainly because anybody who's willing to throw hands over Beyblades, I've got a feeling, like, doesn't really know how to fight. But whatever, they're kind of fighting for a little bit, and they hear the back door open, but they're in the moment still like trying to punch each other and whatnot. And they hear somebody running over asking what's going on, and the dad of the kid whose house they're at, Beyblade kid, breaks them up and is like, what's going on here? Why are you guys fighting? Like, my goodness, aren't you guys supposed to be friends? What's going on? And at first it seems like he's gonna be, a reasonable parent and just break this up and handle it. And he's like, he keeps beating me at Beyblade, he made his own, and I think he cheated and he keeps beating me. And instead of being like, well, son, that's the way competition works. If somebody beats you at Beyblades, it's because you need to get better at Beyblades, and it's not their fault. He gets mad at the subscriber and is like, don't you know anything about being a good guest? It's rude to, beat your host in a competition because it makes them feel bad. And listen, if anything, it shouldn't really matter whether you're a guest or not when you're like playing a game like this. But on top of that, right, I felt like the rule was always you have to be extra nice to the guest. Maybe it's the reverse of what I was always told, they just taught me everything in a mirror or something. But I always thought that, like, yeah, if you and your cousin who doesn't have Beyblades are playing, oh my gosh, Beyblades, then it's probably a good idea to just let him win. You know what I mean? Because, like, whatever, it's just not that deep. He's the guest. I didn't realize that so many people think it's the opposite, dude, where it's like, no, if you're the guest, you have to let the host win at everything. If you're playing Uno with him, you have to purposely try to lose, because otherwise his feelings are going to get hurt. But whatever, he kind of like starts to argue with the dad and points out that it doesn't really matter how upset he is or whether or not he's the guest. It's still not okay to attack the guest of your house over a Beyblade game. And instead of that, like, striking some reality in the dad and being like, oh, wow, maybe my kid is not the angel that I think he is if he's willing to try to jump his friends over a Beyblade competition that he started. He's like, oh, this is disrespectful. You're trying to give me attitude now. So he does the only reasonable thing that you can do in this situation when somebody points out that your kid is actually the person causing this problem, and you should probably be nice to the person who's over visiting your house. He decides to try to fight him. He's like, oh, you think you're some tough guy trying to argue with me and make me look stupid? What? Yeah, well, how about this? How about you fight me, huh? You want to fight my son? You want to fight my son? How about me? And he has like these sleeves on his shirt, dude, and he rips the sleeves off of his shirt and starts to like run at the subscriber, who is obviously way younger than this grown man who's now trying to fight him over a Beyblade battle. Like, keep that in mind, dude. This grown man has just ripped the sleeves off of his shirt to try to fight a kid because of a Beyblade tournament. And not even a Beyblade tournament for money, dude, but like just two kids playing in the backyard. So whatever, he rips his sleeve off and is like, yeah, you want to fight? Let's fight. And is kind of coming at him like he wants to fight him. And obviously the subscriber does not want to fight the adult. So he's like, no, I really don't want to fight you, dude. Like, come on, I don't want to fight you. And he's like, why? Are you afraid you're going to lose? Are you afraid you're going to lose? And listen, obviously he's afraid he's going to lose because you got 25 years, 250 pounds, and like a 40-hour work week rage to unleash on him, dude. Of course he's gonna lose. There's no world in which he should win. If you are the adult trying to fight someone who's arguing over Beyblades and they knock you out, like, that's just the biggest L. You should win this fight every time. And so finally he's like, dude, just call my mom. Like, I don't even want to be here anymore. I just want to leave. Call my mom. I want to go home. home. And he just keeps repeating, like, call my mom, I want to go home. Because obviously, at this point, he just wants to go home. He does not want to be here anymore. And this starts to make the dad mad. He's like, oh, you want me to call your mom? You want your mommy? You want your mommy? You don't want to fight me and be a man? Be a man? And he's like, what, dude? You're telling me you want to be a man, but you're the grown man literally trying to fight a kid right now. Like, who are you to be telling anybody to be a man? I'm not trying to call my mommy. I just can't drive a car. Like, if I had a car of my own, I would leave right now, which should have been an eye-opener, right? Like, oh, maybe I'm being an idiot. But no, he's like, yeah, well, I don't have to let you leave. And so he goes to leave, and the spoiled kid, the Beyblade kid, like pushes him a little bit, right? And so at that point, he's like, all right, they're really not going to let me leave. And during the argument with the dad, he had picked up the Beyblade and he had it in his hand. And it was, a heavier one. It had a metal ring and then like some heavier plastic pieces. And at that point, he's like, all right, here's my distraction. The Beyblade kid has just pushed him again. On top of that, dude, he's not letting him leave. So he's like, I just have to have a distraction. So he feels this Beyblade in his hand. And so he takes it and he just throws it at the kid as hard as he can. The straight up baseball pitch. And it smacks him dead center in the forehead. Bullseye, exactly where you would want your Beyblade, oh my gosh, to land if you threw it. And it just smacks him. And obviously he just drops to the ground. He's like, ow, he just threw a Beyblade at me. And it's just kind of a second where like nobody really knows what to do. And he drops to the ground, and the dad kind of makes the decision to go check on his son, right? So when he goes over and leans down to check on his son, the subscriber is like, here's my chance, baby. And he sprints past him out the side gate. They had like a side gate on the side of their house where you could get to the road. And so he gets onto the road, and it just so happened that the neighborhood he was in was near his aunt's house, and he just starts sprinting down the road as fast as possible, trying to get to his aunt's house. And he's running for like probably 15 minutes. It was a mile, close enough to get to, before he even gets to his aunt's house. Alright guys, I'm going to interrupt the video for just 1 second. If you take a look at your screen now, you'll see a gift card code. For those of you that don't know, I give one of these away in every single video, and I'd appreciate you turning on your subscriptions and notifications so you never miss out on some free money. And while I got your attention, press the like button, otherwise your mom's a hoe. Anyways, he's running for a while and he finally gets to his aunt's house and he knocks on the door. Thankfully, she's home. She opens up. She's like, what are you doing here? Obviously wasn't exactly planning on seeing him right now. Not that it's a bad thing. Like, she's not going to say, you can't stay here, get out. But at the same time, it's just a little bit different when you don't expect to see someone at your door. And he's like, hey, can I call my mom? The kid whose house I was at, his dad just tried to fight me. And his aunt's like, what? Of course, come in. So he comes in, he calls his mom, and he's like, hey, can you come get me? And she's like, why? What happened? And so he explains what happens, and obviously his mom is not too happy with the situation. I don't know who would be, dude. Like, I'm not a parent, but I'm gonna assume when you hear that you left your kid at somebody's house and then the parent tried to fight him, that that's not a thing that you want to hear, right? And so she comes to get him and she's pissed off and she's like, I want to go talk to him. So they go back to his house and they knock on his door, and the dad answers, and this time, his sleeves are reattached. He had changed shirts, and the mom is like, did you try to fight my son because of Beyblades? Like, are you kidding me? I let my kid come over here and this is what you're gonna do, is threaten him over some stupid game? Like, what's wrong with you? And the guy, instead of being like, you know what, you're right, it got out of control, I'm really sorry, just is like, none of that happened. It's all being made up, and none of that actually happened. And his mom is like, so you're telling me that my kid left your house, ran over a mile to his aunt's house to call me to come get him, and instead of just, going home, he tells me about this. I force him to come here, and you're telling me that he's making it all up? And the dad's like, yeah, basically, he's making it up. And obviously, they're just kind of in this stalemate because the kid's in shock. He's like, wait, what, huh? And the mom knows that the dad is lying because it's like, why would this kid make it up? And she's pissed, but he just keeps declining that it happened. He's like, no, it just didn't happen. And after a while, I don't know why his mom did this. She's like, okay, well, if you're not going to admit it, there's really nothing I can do. And so she gets the kid and they get in the car and she's like, I'm pissed, but I don't really know what to do. And so they go back home and she's like, listen, I just want you to make me one promise, just never talk to that kid again. Because if you continue to be his friend, that's on you, I guess, but you're never allowed to go over to his house again. Because I don't even know what today was. That was just the most confusing mess of all time. And he's like, yeah, you know, I don't really want to be his friend. I don't think that would work out anyways. And sure enough, like at recess at school, like the next time they were at school, he had this big welt on his forehead from where the Beyblade had made impact. And he was like, I don't want to be your friend anymore because you were mean. And he's like, yeah, all right, bro, whatever, fine. I'll take the blame for this one. We don't got to be homies no more. I feel like after someone's dad tries to fight you, the friendship just kind of has to die out, right? It's got to be hard to keep a homie ship alive after that one. But yeah. I also love how he still thought he wasn't in the wrong. You know, like he did try to fight this guy over Beyblades, and your dad still just did try to throw hands with the guy who was over at your house. But yeah, whatever. You don't want to be friends. Like, if anything, man, he should be begging for forgiveness at this point. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I'd really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought, and of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on those notifications. If you really want to help me out, I'll put a link to the intro song in the description down below, along with a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, or, of course, you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout. Great way to get a discount on G Fuel and help me out. I'd appreciate it. And last but certainly not least, I did go ahead and put some of my story times up on Spotify for you guys to listen to offline or without gameplay. So if you want to check that out, I'll make sure the link is in the top of the description. Be sure to do that. And yeah, on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.